Hello and welcome to this lecture. And in this lecture we will go ahead and learn how you can put restrictions on certain routes, that is, how to make certain pages accessible only to the logged in or authenticated users. Now, the main purpose of having the login and logout functionality to have restrictions on certain pages, which means that you want to restrict access to certain pages only to registered users. Now in this particular lecture, what we will do here is that we will actually go ahead and create the user profile page. So if you go to profile right now, as you can see, there is no page which exists, but in this particular lecture we will go ahead and create the user profile page which the user can access, which is going to have the information about the logged in user. And we will also go ahead and also put up a restriction on that particular profile page so that only the registered users or logged in users will be able to access that particular page. Now let's go ahead and start working on the profile page. So in order to go ahead and do that, first of all we need to go into the users app, which is this app right here. And in that particular application we need to go into the views, because we always build the functionality starting up with the view. So right now we have the register view here, and now let's go ahead and create another view which is going to power up our profile page. So I'll type in dev profile page as the name of this particular view, which is going to accept a request. And then I'm just going to go ahead, and here we are simply going to go ahead and render a particular template. So I'll type in return render, and this is going to accept the request. And let's say we are going to go ahead and create a template for this in the users app. So I'll type in users, and let's say the name of this template is profile.html. So once we go ahead and do that, we are pretty much good to go. Now let's go ahead and actually create this particular template. So I'll go to the users app. In the templates, I'll go ahead and create a new file, and I'll name this thing as profile.html. and now let's go ahead, and now as we want to create the page for user, so it should have the basic information about the user, like the username and something like that. So for now what we will do is that we will just go ahead and try to access the username of the user. So I'll have a h1 tag over here, the heading tag, and in here we'll simply extract the username. So in order to get the username, what we will do is that we will go ahead and we will make use of the same variable which we had in the previous lecture. So in the previous lecture we had made use of the user variable which Django provides. So I'll type in user dot, and to access the username I'll simply go ahead and type in username over here. So once we go ahead and do that, we are pretty much good to go. So now let's go ahead, save that. So now we have the view, we also have the template as well. Now the only thing which we need to do is that we need to add a URL so that we can access this particular view. So in order to add a view, we'll go to the main projects urls.py file, which is the urls.py file of my site, which is this file right here. And in here I'll simply go ahead and add in a path for the profile view. So I'll go ahead and type in path, and this is going to be, let's say, profile slash, and in here we'll simply go ahead and get access to the views using user views. So I'll type in user views dot, and the name of the view is nothing but profile page. So I'll go ahead and type that thing in, and let's say the name of this view is going to be nothing but profile. So simply give a comma and you are good to go. So now let's go ahead and try to access the profile page right here. So now if we go to /profile, it's empty because we are not currently logged in. So if I go ahead and just log in, let's see what exactly happens. So when I go ahead and log in, and if we go to /profile, as you can see, we get the username of the currently logged in user. Now let's go ahead and try to add the link to the profile over here in this particular navigation bar. So what I will do over here is that I'll just go ahead, go to the base template which we had accessed in the previous lecture. So right over here what we want to do is that we want to display the profile page if the user is currently logged in. So I can go ahead and type in ahref, and here we'll add a link to the profile. So we'll type in URL, and we have currently created the URL pattern for the profile and we have named it as profile. So I'll simply go ahead and add that thing up over here, and let's also type in profile over here, which is the display name for this particular URL. Okay, so once we go ahead and do that, and now once we hit refresh, as you can see, we also get an option for profile over here. So when I click on profile, we are redirected to this page right here. Now let's see what happens when I go ahead and just simply log out from here. So when I click on log out, it says that you have been logged out. But let's see what happens if we try to access the previous profile page right over here. So when I go back, as you can see, we are getting an empty profile right over here. And we actually don't want to do that. That is, we don't want to go ahead and display user a blank profile page right here when the user is logged out. So let's think of that in this way. Whenever you're using a social media website and whenever you are into your home feed or the feed page which you get on logging in, so what usually happens when you log out? So whenever you are logged out, you are not allowed to access your own feed. That is, you're going to get some sort of an error, or the social media website is going to prompt you to log in first if you want to access that particular page. So we want to do something similar with this particular profile page right here as well. We want to restrict access to the profile page, which means that if the user is logged out, he should not be able to access this particular profile page. So how exactly can we do that? So whenever you want to restrict access to a certain view in Django, what you simply do is that you go ahead and add a decorator to that particular view. So what I exactly mean by that? So in this particular case, as we want to restrict access to the profile page, so we'll go to the profile page view, which is this view right here, and we will simply add a decorator which is called as login required. So in order to add a decorator, you simply give a @ right before the view where you want to add the decorator, and then you need to type in login_required. So whenever you go ahead and add this particular login required decorator, it's going to restrict access to this particular view only to the logged in users. So now it's showing us an error over here because login required is not yet defined. So let's go ahead and import that. So I'll type in from django.contrib.auth.decorators. That's going to be import login_required. So once we go ahead and save that, as you can see, the error actually disappeared. Now let's go ahead and try to access the profile page. So now if we go back over here, and now currently we are logged out. So now if I go ahead and try to access the profile page, as you can see, we are going to get an error over here. So now that means it's not going to allow us to actually go ahead and access a particular page if we are logged out. And if you notice this particular Django page, as you can see, Django is actually looking for a page which is accounts/login, which means that Django is trying to redirect us to the login page. Now in case of Django, Django always looks for the login page in this particular path right here by default, which is /accounts/login. But right now, the path for our login is not /account/login, but it's simply /login right over here. So now we need to tell Django that it has to look for the login page in the particular URL pattern, which is just /login. So how exactly can we go ahead and do that? So in order to do that, you need to go to the settings.py file, which is the file in your main site. So let me just go ahead, go to the my site, and in the settings.py, you need to add a URL over here for login. So you need to mention login_URL, and this URL is going to be nothing but the URL for login, which is the path for login, which we have named as login. So if you're confused with this, you simply go to the urls.py of our main app, of our main site, which is this site right here, and this is the path for login, which is actually named as login, and henceforth in the settings.py file we actually went ahead and named this thing as login. So now if we go ahead and save that, let's see how Django behaves now. So now if I try to go ahead and access the profile page, as you can see, now we are actually redirected to the login page. So now when I go ahead and log in, let's see what happens. So when I go ahead and type in super user as the password, click login, as you can see, now I'm redirected to the profile page. So that means now we have successfully protected a particular route by using the login required decorator, which is this decorator right here. And this decorator is going to make sure that the user is first logged in even before he is able to access this particular view. And if the user is not logged in, he is going to redirect us to the login page. And by default, the Django actually looks for the login page in the path which is /accounts/login, but we have modified that behavior by making changes to the settings.py file right here by mentioning the new login URL which Django should look for. So that's it for this lecture. Hopefully you guys be able to understand how to protect certain routes. So in the next lecture, what we will do is that we'll go ahead and learn about setting up the profile page. So right now we don't have anything up over here on the profile page, and in the upcoming lecture we will go ahead and make a few changes over here, like adding up the user profile image and everything like that. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.